Hello friends, today I am here to discuss regarding World Suicide Prevention Day. As we know, 10th September every year is celebrated as World Suicidal Prevention Day by World Health Organization. So, in this regard, today we will discuss how various professionals can help to prevent the suicide, like emergency workers, how the emergency workers can help to prevent the suicide among the peoples, how the healthcare workers can help, how the teachers and what is the role of teachers to prevent the suicide among students, how the prisoners officers, then media professionals and employer or managers, how they can prevent suicide at their organization. First, we'll discuss why World Suicide Prevention Day is celebrated. As we know, every year on 10 September, World Suicidal Prevention Day is celebrated. It is organized by International Association for Suicidal Prevention, that is called IASP. WHO, World Health Organization, has been a co-sponsor of the day. The purpose of this day is to raise awareness around the globe that suicide can be prevented and more people can be prevented by suicide and homicide. Then, if we'll talk about the various professionals and how they can prevent, it include, first we can discuss for the teachers. What is the role of teachers and other peoples working in the schools to prevent suicide among the students? So what they are, there are some advice that can helpful to prevent the suicide among the students. First of all, how we will identify? There are various signs that will be shown by the student, like expressing thoughts, feelings, and plans about ending their life. If students are talking about that, then we have to consider for that. A sudden or dramatic change in academic performance of the students. If students are showing mood changes, for example, tearful, crying, and displaying severe emotional distresses. Then expressing hopelessness about the future. How and what they will do in the future. If they are worried about it, then that is that warning signs of the suicide. Normal worry is a phenomena to every student, but that worry should not hamper the academic performance of the student. Then we can see changes in the behavior such as withdrawal from the others, loss of interest in the activities, playing, agitation, irritability, and impulsivity. Then disruptive behavior, conflict with the students and school staff. Then absence from school or difficulty in concentrating during the lessons and classes. Use of alcohol or drug, substance abuse can also lead the, if the student is taking substances and started the alcohol and other substance, then we should always, or teachers should always think that the students are at risk. Bullying or breaking down of relationship with the peers group, isolated from the groups. If teachers will see students are isolated and they are not playing with the groups or friends, it means there will be the signs to look out for the students. Then as a school teacher or as a head of the school, how you can help. Organize information session and mental health promotion activities in the students by the various healthcare professionals. It can maybe psychiatrist, psychiatric nurses, psychologists, psychiatric social worker, and various other mental health professionals that can help in the promotion activities. Organize a training for staff or recognizing and managing mental distress and looking out of signs student may be risk of the suicide. Create a culture at school that promote the sharing of difficulties related to the mental health. School head also can organize and encourage activities that promote the good mental health of the staff members. School head should design and implement a plan for how to sensitively manage and communicate the suicide and suicide attempts of a student or a member of staff to the school's community in a way that minimize further distresses. There are various measures should include availability of the trained healthcare workers and support services for students, parents, and staff. Okay? So these are the various measures that teachers can prevent suicide among the students. Then prevent suicide at works. What is the role of employer, managers, and employees to prevent suicide among the employers? What they are? First of all, what are the signs we should understand that can lead to the suicidal tendency among the employees? Expression of the thoughts and feeling about wanting to end their life and talking about hopelessness or having no reason to live. Then expression of feelings of isolation, loneliness, hopelessness, loss of self-esteem or dwellings of the problems. Then withdrawal from the colleagues, decrease in the work performance and difficulty completing tasks. They will they will not finish the work on the given time. It means their minds is engaged in the somewhere else. Then changes in the behavior such as restlessness they will show, irritability, aggression they will show. Other symptoms you can see speaking about the arranging end of life personal affairs such as making a will, concrete plans of suicide. They may also involve about the abuse of alcohol and other substances. Depressed mood also can be a sign of suicide. Then particular attention should be paid to the people who are losing their job. Unemployment also can lead to that. Then what you can do as an employer or a manager. Provide the information session for your staffs and mental health suicide preventions. Ensure the staff should know what resources are available to support and both within the organization and the local community. Foster a work environment in which colleagues feel comfortable talking about problems that have an impact on their ability to do their jobs. Become a familiar with relevant legislations. Identify and reduce the work-related stresses which can be negatively impact the mental health. Then design and implement a plan for how to sensitively manage and communications the suicide or suicide attempts of an employees in a way that minimize the further distress. Every employee should talk how that risk of suicide can be prevented. If employer or a manager will look after their mental health, that it can lead and prevent a lot of the suicide prevention and contribute in the prevention of suicide among the employees. Then, what is the role of healthcare workers in preventing suicide? as healthcare workers are prompt and how they can relieve the suicidal attempt or symptoms and prevention. It's a their part of. It include how they will science to look out among how they are going to prevent. In that you can see there are various signs. It include expressing thoughts and feelings about wanting to end their lives, talking about feeling hopelessness and having no reason of life, talking about the full feelings of withdrawal, hopelessness, helplessness, social isolation, being a burden to the family or others, unbeatable pain. They will show agitation, violence, distress, and difficulty communicating all the things. Suicidal client will show a change in eating and sleeping habits, signs of cuttings or self-harm, arranging end of life personal affairs, absence of supportive family members or other psychological support. If the suicidal client or any person is showing this type of symptoms, so healthcare personnel should understand that there may be risk of the suicide attempt. What healthcare person can do? They should allocate sufficient time to talk to the person in a private space, show empathy and try to establish a positive rapport, lead into the topic gradually to gauge the current mental status of the person. Mental health professionals should ask about suicide does not provoke the suicide, but can reduce the anxiety and help the person being feel understood. If the person confirm that they have thoughts of a or thinking about suicide, then a follow-up question should be arranged for them. If the person has a suicidal thoughts or plan, but the plan is not concrete or immediate, then what we can provide as a healthcare professional, we should always offer a emotional support, encourage them to talk about their suicidal feelings, remind them about their strength, how to overcome about the weaknesses, and past and explore the reasons way to stay alive, how the family members and other persons are dependent on them, provide them with the details of a mental health facilities if possible, and maintain the regular contact initially by making another appointment. Then activate psychological support by reaching out of family and friends and community resources. Provide the details of community services, including the crisis line. So these are the role of any healthcare professionals to prevent the suicide among their patients. Okay. Then we will move towards role of the police, firefighters, and other emergency responders to prevent the suicide. It includes how they can help someone in a crisis situation. First of all, if the firefighters, police, or any emergency responder will go to the scene, then first they should clear the scene and give physical space. Start by introducing yourself and asking for permission to approach. Always ask the client, I am the first responder, police and firefighters, and can save you. Express the compassion in order to facilitate the de-escalation of the situations. Always try to do that. Take all the words and action that indicate that a person is at risk of suicide seriously. Engage with the person and encourage them to talk. Try to assess the risk of suicide by in finding out with the person has a plan. Then take a non-judgmental approach. Be non-judgmental in the always whenever you are going in the crisis situations. Express empathy and concern and so that you care for that person. If possible, remove access to anything that could be used for a suicidal attempt, then immediately as soon as possible contact a mental health specialist if they are available on that time. Then never leave that person in the risk of suicidal alone. This is the role of police, firefighters, and emergency responders. If suicidal attempt has happened, if a suicidal client has attempted the suicide, then what is your role? Check vital signs and if need, provide the emergency first aid. If medical attention is warranted, make sure the person is taken to an emergency care facility as soon as possible. If the person is responsive, try to communicate in a non-threatening, calm, empathetic, and friendly manner. What you should do following a suicide. When someone dies by suicide, contact the family members and close friends about the disease and ensure that communication of the death their loved one is conveyed in the sensitive and empathetic manner. And whatever the legal proceeding, you should go for it. This is the role of police and firefighters and emergency responders to prevent the suicide among the peoples. Then information for journalists and other writings about the suicide, how they can help to prevent the suicide. As we know, media play an important role in our daily life. So there are various tips for responsible reporting about the suicide that include what to do by the journalist. They do provide the accurate information about where to seek help when patient is feeling suicidal. Do educate the public about the fact of suicide and suicidal prevention without spreading myths. Do write about how to cope with the life stressor. Like everybody in their life have the life stressors, but if we develop the coping abilities, then their life stressor can be reduced. Do apply the particular cautions when reporting on celebrity suicides. Like recently we had seen like Sushant Singh Rajput. Do so compassion when interviewing bereaved family or friends. Do recognize that you yourself may be affected when reporting on the suicide. So this is the role of the journalist. What not to be done by the journalist? Don't place stories about the suicide in prominent position in the newspaper or on website. Don't use the sensational headlines. Don't explicitly describe the method used. Don't provide detail about the site or locations. Don't use photographs, video footage, or social media links that led to circumstances of the suicide. Okay? Then, very important, what language should be used and should not be used. First, do use die by suicide, take one's own life. Don't use commit suicide, completed suicide. Why? Because it implies criminality or successful, or we can say success respectively in the suicide. Do use suicidal attempts or suicide or death by suicide. It means suicide is also death. That is not a promote to the suicide is activity. Don't use a successful suicide attempt or an unsuccessful or failed suicidal attempt. So this is a very important role of the journalist and media professionals. They can do to prevent and help the people to prevent the suicide. Then we can move forwards. Then what is the role of jail or prisoner officers to prevent the suicide among the criminals or prisoners? what are the factors that will elevate suicide risk in the prisoners? They are being held in an isolation or segregation cell, unavailability of the staffs. There may be fewer staffs available in the evening and during weekends, expressing of bullying and violence which whilst in the detention, pay particular attention at times of elevated distress as just before and during the court hearings. Like whenever the prisoners is going for the court hearings, that time always prison officer should give the extra care. Then what we can, what the jail and prison directors and other staff in the management roles can do, what they can do, they can put in the place a comprehensive suicidal prevention plan that include suicidal prevention training on the regular, including the regular refreshers to help to staff recognize the suicidal clients among the jail, remove the access to mean of suicide and provide a safe environment such as cells and dormitories without the hanging points, unsupervised access to material which could be used for the attempting suicide, attention to bullying and violence with strategies for managing such situation, what and where they can occur. Screening during admission and ongoing screening should be conducted to identify the suicidal clients. Mechanism of regular communication should be established for the prisoners. Fostering or trusting relationship between the staff and prisoners. Writing procedure for minimum requirement for housing people at high risk. Access to internal and external mental health services for detained with the mental health condition, and a strategy should be planned to prevent the suicide among the prisoners. So there are various professionals, they can contribute to this program in World Suicidal Prevention Day, which is celebrated every year on 10 September. So World Suicidal Day, this you can see, this is the logo for World Suicidal Day, and it's okay to ask for the help. If the any person need the help, that is okay. That is, it will not show he will be in the risk and he is a coward. It will give the good sense and eligibility of the person to check whether we can help or not. Thanks. Thanks for listening and be updated on this channel. You can subscribe our channel. Thank you.